The observation deck of Station Kepler 442 hummed with the quiet efficiency of 1,000 automated systems. Julian Cross stood before the panoramic viewport, his reflection ghosting across the star field beyond. At 52, he'd built Cross Industries into humanity's largest interstellar logistics empire. But tonight, exhaustion carved deep lines into his weathered face. He'd come to this remote station to finalize a mining contract. Another billion credits, another expansion. The numbers had long ago lost their meaning. System, privacy mode off, he muttered, reaching for his compad. A child's voice drifted through the observation deck's audio feed, tinny and distant. Julian frowned. The deck should have been empty at this hour, reserved for his private use. He was about to silence it when the words stopped him cold. Gods, all I want is a dad. Julian's hand froze over the compad. The voice belonged to a young girl, maybe 10 or 11 standard years old. It carried that particular quality of loneliness that he recognized, the sound of someone who'd learned not to expect answers when they spoke to empty rooms that he shouldn't listen. This was clearly a private moment, accidentally broadcast through a malfunctioning comm channel. But something in that raw, whispered plea anchored him in place. I know you probably don't exist, the girl continued, her voice strengthening slightly. Teacher says humans believe in gods, but we Zinthari stopped that nonsense centuries ago. Logic, reason, progress. She made a small, bitter sound. But if you're out there, I just want someone who'd come home to me. Someone who'd remember my naming day. Someone who'd care if I was scared. Julian's chest tightened. He traced the audio feed's origin. Habitat Ring 7, Section 12D. The lower residential quarters, where non-human species lived. The Zinthari were a relatively new addition to the Galactic Council, a proud species of pale blue humanoids with crystalline eyes that reflected light like prisms. Mother says I'm being emotional. Irrational. She says it's a weakness. The girl's voice cracked. She works in the xenobiology labs. Always working. I see her maybe once a week. And even then, she's just checking that I'm maintaining my studies, eating my nutrition supplements. Julian found himself moving toward the audio console, adjusting the feed to improve clarity. This was wrong. He knew it was wrong, but he couldn't stop. The human kids in my class, they talk about their parents, the girl continued. How their dads teach them to fly shuttles, or play Earth games called catch, or just listen. Just sit and listen when they talk about their day. A long pause. That sounds nice. Julian's hand trembled as he pulled up the station's residential database. Scarlett. Her name was Scarlett Vinthara. Age 11. Mother. Dr. Mira Vinthara, lead xenobiologist. Father. Unknown. Status. Single-parent household that he should close this feed. Report the malfunction. Go back to his quarters and forget this ever happened. Instead, Julian spoke into the comm. Hello, Scarlett. The audio feed erupted with a gasp and the sound of something clattering to the floor. Who's there? How do you know my name? My name is Julian, he said carefully, keeping his voice gentle. I'm sorry for intruding. Your comm channel was accidentally broadcasting to the observation deck. I should have closed it immediately, but I heard what you said. Silence stretched between them. When Scarlett spoke again, her voice was small. Are you going to tell my mother? No, Julian said. I'm not going to tell anyone. Why not? Zinthari children aren't supposed to be emotional. It's a sign of developmental regression. Julian felt anger flare in his chest, not at the child, but at whatever cultural programming had taught her that loneliness was a character flaw. Scarlett, can I tell you something? I'm human, and we're very different from Zinthari. But I lost both my parents when I was young. I built a company that spans 17 systems. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. And you know what? I'd trade it all for one more day with my father. Really? Scarlett's voice held wonder. But you're successful. You're not supposed to need anyone. Success doesn't cure loneliness, Julian said softly. And wanting connection isn't weakness, Scarlett. It's the most human, the most alive thing about us. Maybe it's the most Zinthari thing too, even if your people have forgotten that. My teacher says humans are overly emotional. Inefficient. Julian smiled despite himself. We are. Terribly so. We wage wars over feelings, write poetry about heartbreak, and build monuments to people we've loved. It's messy and irrational and absolutely essential to who we are. That sounds. Scarlett paused. Exhausting. It is, Julian agreed. It's also beautiful. They talked for 3 hours. Julian told her about Earth, about rain and oceans, and the concept of family dinners. Scarlett told him about her studies, her love of stellar cartography, and how she'd memorized the orbital patterns of every planet in their sector just because she found it calming. When the station's chronometer chimed 0300 hours, Scarlett's voice had lost its haunted quality. Julian, thank you for listening. Scarlett, Julian said, making a decision that would change both their lives. I'm going to be on this station for the next 3 months finalizing some contracts. Would it be all right if we talked again? Maybe tomorrow. You'd want to. Very much. But why? You're important. You have important things to do. Julian looked out at the stars, seeing them differently now. Because once upon a time, I was a lonely kid who wanted someone to care if I was scared. And because listening to you talk about stellar cartography is the most important thing I've done in years. Okay, Scarlett whispered. Tomorrow. Julian closed the comm channel and stood in the silence of the observation deck. Tomorrow, he'd speak to his legal team about Zinthri adoption laws. Tomorrow, he'd research interspecies guardianship protocols. Tomorrow, he'd begin the complicated process of showing one lonely alien girl that she deserved to be someone's entire world. But tonight, he simply smiled at the stars and thought about a child who'd prayed to gods she didn't believe in, unaware that sometimes the universe answered in unexpected ways. Sometimes it sent a broken billionaire who'd forgotten how to be human, and reminded him through the loneliness of someone even smaller than himself. Sometimes, that was enough.